And all that, but it's like if you want your 49ers to win the Super Bowl, like you feel like this needed to happen, and I'm glad that it did. But the key points that I do want to mention though is like I don't know if there's words to explain how impressive and how exciting and how amazing what Christian McCaffrey is doing. Like we were all excited to see, you know, it was always like what would happen if the best running back in the NFL was with Kyle Shanahan. What if Kyle Shanahan had a real RB1, right? All these things. Like, I mean, Trevor, you're as unbiased as it gets, right? You AFC fans, literally from the other side of the country. Mm-hmm. When you watch this team and when you watch Christian McCaffrey, like, did you even expect this? What is it like for you to see it?
I mean, he's one of the best talents in the NFL, no doubt about it. And like when this trade went down, it was sort of difficult to parse because, you know, there's a lot of me that really does believe that the running back position in large is replaceable. You know, there are a lot of running backs that are either currently in the NFL or have come through the NFL that are genuinely replaceable.
The 49ers have led that narrative. They are right. Like 80% of the reason why people believe that.
But I think that people miss this part. There are still rare backs that are the exception. There are much fewer running backs that I would tell you are the exception as opposed to wide receiver, corner, pass rusher, quarterbacks, certainly, tight ends, right? There are much fewer guys that you would say are the exception to the rule. McCaffrey's one of them. McCaffrey's absolutely one of them. It might be McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, as like these like one-of-one skill position guys that you cannot replace no matter what. Nick Chubb might be in there as well, but like Nick Chubb's style of runner, I mean, like we're going to see, I feel like, guys that could come through and maybe not do exactly what Nick Chubb does, but how far is the return on investment? What McCaffrey brings to the game is insane. McCaffrey brings so much great ability as a rusher and a receiver. So, and you pair him now with the best offensive head coach in the NFL, feels like, in Kyle Shanahan. All respect to Andy Reid, because I think he's up there as well. But
and Arthur Smith.
That was of course. And Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing about Christian McCaffrey is when I try to talk about the trade, it's like, did the Niners give up too much? Yeah, like on paper, yeah, they did give up too much. But every time I had this conversation, I made sure to say, make no doubt about it, this team is much better now because McCaffrey's there, because he is rare. So it was one of those things where it was a wild trade because they did give up a lot to get him, but they are in a position to win a Super Bowl because he is on the team. I don't know if that would be the case without him. And for that, it'd be 100% worth it, right? So that's how I look at the McCaffrey trade.
And the last thing I will say is, and my gosh, you know, I will knock on wood, but the big thing is anyone paying attention to the trade was like, well, you know, he has an injury history. The running backs on the 49ers have injury histories, and that's something that has to be accounted for. And I got to say, the first couple of games, every time McCaffrey ran the ball, I cringed. I'm like terrified. I'm like, please be okay. But like, Kyle is not holding back on using him. He had 19 rushes. He had 6 receptions. He ran for, he had almost 200 all-purpose yards last week. Like, it's the end of the season. Like, Kyle very realistically could be using Jordan Mason right now, who's like averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He still has Kyle Juszczyk that he can do gadget plays with. He can throw the ball to George Kittle, who's now become the best tight end in the NFL again because the team remembered that they could use him. Like, he doesn't have to use Christian, but he is, and so far so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're the scariest team in the NFC. I do. I think they're the scariest team in the NFC. Certainly with the way that Philadelphia
not the Packers
beat up right now. No, and in
Dog.
fact,
I knew Evan was going to.
I will choke you out in front of all of these people. I swear to God.
In fact, I do think that it's going to be Packers 49ers in the first round.
Please, dear God. There's a list of teams that I want to play. It's the Cowboys. I don't play football. That I want the 49ers to play. It's Cowboys first because they deserve it. They deserve it. The fans deserve it. But the Packers, just because the history is beautiful and he doesn't... Packers don't have... Are the Packers a better team than when they had Devontae Adams and they got boat raced by the 49ers in the playoffs?
No. Objectively, no.
Are the 49ers better this year than they were when they boat raced the Packers?
Objectively, yes. Yes.
I'm not, hey, I never graduated college, but the math looks good there.